I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. AI is a technology without a purpose. Now, what do I mean when I say that? Well, I'm specifically talking about like ChatGPT and the large language models, because when it comes to like reinforcement learning, computer vision, I think it's very clear what the uses of this technology are. But specifically when it comes to large language models, we as scientists don't really have a good idea of how to use these effectively in any way, shape, or form. And we've actually got pretty much a decade of evidence to support the claim that there aren't really too many ways in order to use LLMs to accelerate research, which is why there's a growing trend of researchers right now trying to figure out exactly how we will be grappling with this technology in the near, maybe even far future. One such story is unfolding before our very eyes, and let's start by talking about Paul Erdos. So this person is known as one of the most prolific mathematicians and producers of mathematical conjectures. As such, there are a whole bunch of problems that he posed without solutions, and many of them are here on erdosproblems.com. Recently, Terence Tao, who might be considered one of the greatest currently living mathematicians. I mean, there is debate as to what this means and all that kind of stuff, but he's certainly a great mathematician who is currently alive and has contributed greatly to a number of different areas. I mean, I personally read some papers of his from compressed sensing. I could obviously talk about him for a long time, but he recently put on his Mastodon page that we, as mathematicians, are trying to figure out ways in which we can use LLMs to speed up the research process. And one way in which he proposed to doing this was using LLMs to do a more refined literature search. What do I mean by this? Well, there's a whole bunch of these unsolved problems, right? And we, as researchers, have a whole bunch of literature which is kind of in all of these weird spots. Like sometimes it's in this journal or that journal. It's really hard to find in this way or that way, but a large language model has probably scraped all the data online. So if we're going to try to find some weird paper from some obscure journal written in the 1960s, potentially in Russian, well, maybe the best way to do that is via an LLM, and that's precisely what Terence Tao is proposing here. And he said, okay, we actually have a large number of problems that are posed in this Erdos problem site. Let's see if we can use this AI-assisted approach in order to solve these problems. And he listed 6 such solved cases that used this AI-enhanced approach. So let's look at one of those. It says this problem was solved on metric properties of complex polynomials in 1961. Now that's important, right? Essentially, all this AI did was it said, hey, look, here's an unsolved problem. We have another problem that's very similar to that unsolved problem that was in this paper. How about you, as a human, go in and investigate to see whether this problem is actually solved by that paper, right? And so it is AI assisted in that we're basically using an AI in order to tap into resources that we might otherwise have trouble finding, but it's not like AI is doing the solving for us. It's not like AI is actually doing the proof. But of course, the AI bros came in and said, hey, look at this. We have solved some of these unsolved problems in mathematics via AI. Right? They're not technically wrong. I mean, we did use AI to help us find the appropriate solution. And specifically in this case, the solution was basically already there in the paper. And it seems like OpenAI, the group in charge of ChatGPT, was at least trying to take advantage of the situation and the confusion around how AI is being used here, in that they had a couple posts up on X saying something like GPT-5 just found solutions to 10 previously unsolved Erdos problems and made progress on 11 others. These have been open for decades. Now, let me take a look at both of these because you realize they've both been taken down, right? But this is a growing trend. I'll see a lot of people on X or Reddit or some other places saying that AI can do a lot more than it actually can, right? They'll say that AI has actually solved these problems. The creator of the site also said, the only problem is that the site has been more popular than perhaps I originally intended. And some people, mainly non-mathematicians, e.g. news sites or AI newsletters, view the status of a problem as more official than I ever intended. The site does not necessarily reflect this is what the entire community of expert mathematicians believe. It's more like, this is what I personally believe to be the status, and nobody has told me otherwise, right? So what he's basically trying to say is this isn't a one-off situation. A lot of people go to the site and specifically try to find very simple problems that AI can solve. And then once AI assists or helps in any way in solving that problem, the AI bros then come in, overhype the solution, say that AI is the future because it's been able to do this one specific problem that was unsolved for a very long period of time. And like I showed before, when we say unsolved, we simply mean that we did not necessarily have the references to prove that it was solved to begin with, or at least that's what AI does. It will go through and it will look for other references. Now, look, there's obviously utility in computational mathematical methods, some of which do use different types of AI. I'm well aware that there's a lot of automatic proofers, and even though I don't do mathematical proofs in my own research, I acknowledge that a lot of people are questioning whether we should or shouldn't use that in the field. All I'm saying is the following. Hype generally is not a good idea. It will lead to you selling a product that ultimately does not stand on its own. You want to make sure that the expectations of your users match what your technology can actually do. In this case, AI clearly was a net benefit to the mathematical community. We don't have to overhype that. Just say, look, here's how it was useful, and maybe in the future it could also do this. That's fine to say maybe, but to say it has just found solutions to 10 previously unsolved Erdos problems, that's a bit of a stretch, and you know it's a bit of a stretch. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.